Hello and good evening. Hello and welcome to you all. I don't know if anyone's there. This is a nightly experience for me. We have a hello from Laura. Hello, Laura. Um, we have a hello from Nina. So, yes, there are people present. Bradley and Jenna and Mother Duck and Paulie. Now, we must begin by thanking the lovely Paulie. The lovely Paulie was very kind. And Paulie, and good evening to all the rest of you coming in, thick and fast. The lovely Paulie sent some books. Um, Keith Floyd, 2 books. So thank you to Paulie for the books about Keith Floyd. Now, Mr. Floyd was an amazing gentleman who has some fantastic recipes. I don't know how many of you know him. If any of you watch The Saturday Kitchen, which is a fantastic show on a Saturday morning, in my view, with a presenter who should be treated better. He's a fantastic, wonderful person. Keith Floyd likes recipes that are simple and to the point. And yes, thank you so much, Paulie, for sending these books. We will be trying out the recipe, trout in newspaper. I don't know if you can see this, probably not, but he only cooks the trout in a serious newspaper. I think it's a wonderful thing, and thank you, Paulie. Yes, this is trout cooked in newspaper. I also like the recipe for dishwasher salmon. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, but that wasn't one of his. But these are kind of wonderful dishes that are simple and easy to do, and should be encouraged. Yes, and they Keith liked to drink. Yes, and Mr. Floyd. People thought that he was some public school toff, but he actually came from a very poor background, and he enjoyed life to the full. But he cooked great dishes, and there's some wonderful dishes in these books. So I shall be trying some of them out. There we go. So thank you ever so much for kindly sending such lovely books that are actually useful books. That is a most generous gift. Thank you ever so much. You also loved Keith Floyd, says Ingrid, for his wit. Well, he was funny, and he even fired his own producers. And Harriet, I'm sorry we didn't manage to have lunch. No, that's a shame. You're very welcome to come and visit Broadstairs, but I haven't been able to get to London, I'm afraid. So unfortunately, we never made it. But you loved, Angela says, James Martin and Brian Turner. Brian is a delightful gentleman and a friend of my friend Rex, who owned Foxtrot Oscar. Yes, great people. James Martin, another friend, is the distributor, Gary Hazel, of his gin, James Martin Gin. So I urge you all to try the James Martin Gin. Excellent product. Haven't got a bottle here at the moment, but I ought to have one, shouldn't I? So I'll have to ask Mr. Hazel to come back, because we do need some at the Magnet. And the Magnet, he did promise to deliver some. So a shout out to Gary Hazel. Please come back to Broadstairs and bring your James Martin gin, because the locals would love to have some more of it. Gemma loves James Martin. Yes, James and Brian are both Yorkshiremen. There's nothing wrong with that. Lovely people. Nothing wrong with a Yorkshireman, nothing wrong with a Lancashireman. I like people from here, there, and everywhere. That's the great thing of life. Yes, Jules D has the Magnet on her bucket list. Well, I've been in the Magnet this afternoon, and then I've been to a lovely dinner party with Finn and his family at their lovely home, and it's been a wonderful dinner, and it's been delightful, which is why I was half an hour delayed. But there we go. From the normal time. I'm going to have to figure out what I do about how many times a week I do this, because I do have social engagements, and I'm sure some of you are busy later at night, so I don't want to be coming on too late to you. And equally, I don't want to be too over refreshed, as they say, given that some people like to criticize me. Irish Fairy loves Rick Stein. Yes, well, Rick Stein is a lovely chef too. Love his fish dishes, but I'm more of a Keith Floyd man myself. So there we go. Um, Darren doesn't want me to forget a certain button, and I won't if I can try and work it out. Um, there we go. So I did send a list on my Twitterati of things that I would talk about today. Amongst them, true crime as a genre, and also Prince Harry, and also Jill Dando, the latest with that. You want a toe rag of the week? Well, the toe rag of the week obviously is Prince Harry, but we'll be getting on to that. So there we go. So some of you don't have Twitter. Well, Twitter is my preferred communication medium because I can put links to things in it. So I tend to use it more than I do other mediums, to be honest. I don't understand this TikTok thing. I don't understand Facebook very well, or Instagram. I don't understand. You can't even put a link. Frankly, the Twitterati, you want to see my handwriting? It's absolutely awful. I don't think that would be wise. You don't like Twitter, says Irish Fairy. Well, that's your entitlement, but I find Twitter useful for what I do. It's the best way of communicating with people, and I've had lots of lovely messages via it. And I find I don't have an OnlyFans, no. You've signed up for Twitter, you haven't used it. I have this new thing, Threads, also. As for TikTok, I don't get it. Totally useless. Anyway, moving along. So we can even. I will begin probably. I'll get the Prince Harry thing over with. I think it's probably best to finish him off first. So just a moment. We'll bring up Prince Harry. So we have had the situation in the recent days of Prince Harry, and Twitter has created a hashtag, Shut Up Harry, talking about Prince Harry moaning and groaning yet again. Is there anything that this annoying little brat doesn't wish to do? And 59 minutes ago, Richard Eden, who is a very decent gentleman, writes for the Mail, has decided to write about himself. He write about it. So Prince Harry will be bringing up his stupid Invictus Games thing again, which actually, as a concept, was not a bad thing, but he's turned it into nothing but a personal show. And it is ridiculous that he's got a new Netflix documentary coming out, and in it he has been nothing but critical and whined and moaned. And I will come to Richard Eden in a moment, but Paul Burrell, the ghastly butler, who is another piece of toe rag, was whining on the GB News, I saw, to Dan Wootton, another one who doesn't seem to want to answer any questions about what he's been up to. No one was there for me. You know, that's the Prince Harry moan. Paul Burrell and Dan Wootton thought the Invictus Games were the best thing Prince Harry's ever done, but whining about his life in California, said Mr. Burrell, it's time to stop. Well, for once, Paul Burrell is right, but Paul Burrell is not the person to be giving the message because, frankly, Paul Burrell is a tawdry, tacky piece of toe rag. Absolutely awful. Only ever been in the same room as him once, and I wanted to flee, and I thought I needed to have a shower to escape the stench of being near such a creep. Absolutely appalling. But you know, uh, he his moaning, as Richard Eden has just said 59 minutes ago, leaves a bad taste, a bitter taste. It is unnecessary of Prince Harry to be doing such things. Prince Harry needs to man up, grow up, and show up and behave himself instead of being a whinging, whining pest. Now, I know from having talked previously with, Meghan Markle's sister Samantha on other channels and done all of these things, how unpopular Prince Harry truly is. And yes, Prince Andrew is the only one worse than Harry, says Expialidocious. I totally agree there. But we had this man called James O'Brien, who many of my friends really dislike. He is this LBC presenter, and he called Prince Andrew a milk pudding of a man, and Prince Harry, as the contrast, who courageously defended his wife. Well, he said that he's the yin to Prince Harry's yang of Prince Andrew. Stood up for himself and his wife. This man, James O'Brien, is totally out of touch with reality. What a load of nonsense. Both of them are awful. It doesn't mean you can't you don't have to like one to be able to dislike the other. I dislike both of them. I think they're both awful, and I think both of them have dreadful wives. Well, in Prince Andrew's case, ex-wife, but she lives with him. And Fergie is an absolutely piece of dreadful scumbag woman who will never answer my question, which is, did you ever repay Fergie the money you took from Jeffrey Epstein in loans and the other benefits you took from him after he had been in prison? You happily took the money, and your husband also, Prince Andrew, happily continued to associate with him and only ever gave up when the trouble came about. And then he went on Emily Maitlis. And Emily Maitlis has done nothing wrong. Emily Maitlis should be left alone in all of this story. She is somebody who's got no question to answer here. It's terrible how she's been treated in this story. The latest bullying of her is unacceptable. It would be unacceptable in 1984, and it's definitely unacceptable in 2023. Miss Maitlis conducted an interview, and that the likes of Lady Victoria Harvey go on about, oh, it was the lighting, oh, she set him up. Lady Victoria, I have met you. Seriously, you are just ridiculous. And I've had another ridiculous person write to me today. He is called George Tonks, and Mr. Tonks has a problem with a woman called Maria Farmer, who is an Epstein victim, and he is making all these videos going on about how he believes he was framed in the whole story, and that Miss Farmer is making everything up. He speaks the truth. He only retweeted other people's posts. He'd known Maria Farmer for 3 years. He accused her of being an extorter. He claims it's all lies. He has the right to tell his story. Da, 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 da. He's got a hearing next week. He thinks that everyone's against him and he'll be doing everything to expose this group. Well, Mr. Tonks, stop sending me your rubbish because I'm utterly bored of hearing from you. You're very tedious, and I think you are on the wrong side of history, and you should leave the victims alone. Enough is enough from you, Tonks. And you've already admitted you've had to pay restitution to people, but of course you say, oh, it's all based on lies. But well, why do you go on about it then? You're completely mad. Mr. Tonks, please bog off. I'm sure you're not watching this, but if you are, please bog off. You are a bore, Mr. Tonks, and that you're associating with Lady Victoria Harvey, it makes me even more question her motive and her sensibilities, because frankly, I am a little bit sick of the rubbish that comes out of her silly mouth as well. Honestly, this is like dealing with a bag of bilge and a slum full of a sewage pit full of sludge. These people are shaming victims of Ghislaine Maxwell, a truly wicked, evil woman who has now found Judaism in prison purely because it suits her agenda, because it means she doesn't have to do any work in prison. She is the most devious person. As I've always said, she once said, her father once said, Robert Maxwell, a man who stole £500 million from poor pensioners. He said, I have a beautiful daughter and she's just like me. Change the words to I have a deviant daughter and she's just like me. And then you might be spot on, bang on the nail. At this point, no, 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 no. Mr. Tonks, you are talking utter tripe. You talk utter drivel, and you should stop sending me your stupid messages because I'm only going to quote you. And you said, oh, I'm only going to do another one every day until the hearings. I will do everything I can to expose this group. They're all trying to silence me. You sound like the ultimate conspiracy theorist. You sound like the utter crackpot crazy, and you're utterly tedious. You're drivel. You're a drip, and you're totally annoying. And you and your Lady Victoria Harvey, please, please get yourself both a pair of bus passes because, frankly, you really are on the road to nowhere. You're on the road to hell, and you'll be pensioners by the time you're finished with your stupid story, and no one will still believe you because you're like the boy who cried wolf. You're a total pest, and you're a total pain in the ass. So please bog off. Had enough of you. You're a pain. I really don't like the way you attack the victims of Ghislaine Maxwell. And Ghislaine Maxwell, in my view, was far worse than Jeffrey Epstein. And I will not shut up about this, and nobody will silence me. Ghislaine Maxwell was the controller. Jeffrey Epstein was the functionary. The money, the money, the money, follow the bloody money. Everybody, don't miss the boat. Listen to the truth here. And that is what I would like to say on that subject. So I didn't expect to talk much about Mr. Tonks, but there we go. Done that, finished that. So we can move on to something else. And I think we'll move on to the interesting concept of true crime. I listened to a wonderful podcast today by a lovely lady called Nicola Tallant. I met Miss Tallant, spelt Tallant, but she has great talent, Talent. She is a brilliant journalist who has worked very hard in Ireland, exposing lots of true crime stories. And Nicola Tallant has worked for the Sunday World for some considerable time and has a podcast, which I've also been on myself. I talked about Ghislaine, in fact. effect on it. I rambled on and probably bored the world to death with my personal take on various matters, but there we are. So anyway, I urge you all to listen to episode 307. This is on Spotify. I'm sure you can find it elsewhere. I don't know how these things work, so you'll have to find it however you wish. It's 51 minutes long, and it's about true crime as a genre, basically. And since I've been doing all these programs with other people, and since I've been writing about things, the concept of true crime has been something that I've thought rather a lot about. Now, true crime, is something that's been going on as a genre for a very long time, and people have had non-fiction, literary, podcasts, film, all the rest of it. But it's most recently come to prominence because of the Netflix Making a Murderer. And in this particular program, Nicola Tallant, which I listened to today, it wasn't made it was made in the last month or so, chatted with an author called Sarah Weinman. And she's the author of The Real Lolita, The Kidnapping of Sally Horner, and the novel that scandalized the world. And this very interesting lady I'd never heard of, but it was about a case of a young child who was held captive for 21 months by a serial molester, Frank LaSalle, and it inspired Vladimir Nabokov's 1955 novel Lolita, which was later adapted by Stanley Kubrick, another very curious individual. But they talked about, the concept of true crime as a genre, and how, things like, I met Nicola at a thing called CrimeCon, and I spoke at this thing called CrimeCon with Sean Atwood, and I spoke about Ghislaine Maxwell. And I did another thing on another occasion. I can't remember what the other thing was, but anyway, this crime conference, these gatherings, and it's a gatherings of amateur sleuths, and they're all into book clubs, and most of them are middle-aged women, actually. I found this quite fascinating. The kind of people that bought the tickets to these events, and then these were like £400, £500 to go to events, and most of them were, people who lived in Manchester or Wolverhampton or Edinburgh, and they'd come all the way to talk about these crimes. Now, I found this quite bizarre, to be honest. And they had this thing called Podcast Row, and amongst it were all these podcasters who talked about cases, but they were all sensational. And this is what Nicola's program is all about. And this is why I urge you to listen to Nicola's program, because this explores this odd thing that is called true crime. And true crime as a genre, has become popular because of things like Netflix, and particularly a thing called Making a Murderer. And I've seen a bit of this Making a Murderer. I didn't even want to finish it. It was not for me. It was not of any interest. I didn't find it that exciting. But Nicola asked questions like, what is true crime? How has it become entertainment? And focused on things like, how the stories with the X factor rather than journalistic credibility are getting the attention. Really important stories don't attract the true crime followers. And There is nothing wrong with people wanting to have true crime as entertainment if they so wish. But most people um, who are killed are not killed by a serial killer. Doesn't happen. Most people who are killed are likely killed by their partner, their lover, their husband, their wife. Um, crime of passion, you could call it in many cases, or a familial member, a father, a mother, whatever. But no, Nicola went further than me. She said she preferred to explore stories about young men joining gangs and being shot dead over a drug debt, age 21. That is the truth of real crime, and people don't get to hear those stories. Instead, they're fascinated with stories from the past, and I'll come to that in a moment. But the view from the Magnet, my local pub, um, my one of the local barmaids there, she loves to watch court TV. She just loves to watch drama. She loves that kind of true crime, and we talk about that quite often. And the wonderful Magnet, yes, we often talk about criminals and strange people, but that is what people want. And Netflix are giving people what people want, and they want Making a Murderer. And we'll come shortly to Joel Dando in a little while, and we'll deal with that. You love Dharma, yes, precisely. That is, you know, that is what people want to watch. But what about the stories of the forgotten people? There are so many others out there. True crime journalism is not investigative journalism. It doesn't really invest. It goes after stories that are simply populist and involving serial killers and anything that will sell TV shows. And equally, these podcasts is the same. And what we also have to remember is the health of this space. These people making these true crime programs, they go after stories where they don't have respect for the victims, the families. They spread a lot of inaccuracy because half of them do not bother to do it properly. They're sensationalist and they don't remember the victims and the families of the victims. This is a shocking thing. And this is why I think this Nicola Tallant was very wise to talk about those things. And, what about the cases of wrongful convictions? So, for example, I support various people. Mark Alexander, a person in prison who has not admitted to committing the crime of killing his father, and there is no physical evidence, and he is supported by Terry Waite, OBE, so CBE, a wonderful gentleman. And honestly, Mark Alexander should not be in prison, but he won't admit his guilt. There is the case of Omar Benguit, a man who the BBC have made a series about. And Omar and his sister, who campaigned tirelessly for him, there we are. Just another case in Bournemouth of somebody who the evidence does not point to him. It points to a man who was a serial killer operating in the neighborhood. And then there is the case of Luke Mitchell, a man. I'm not as close to that case. I deal with other people from it because they've all written to me and I've spoken with them. But a lot of the evidence there is flawed. The case of Jeremy Bamber, where evidence was destroyed. There are many, many cases out there. The Freshwater Five, the people who were accused of being drug dealers, and they're just simply fishermen. And Appeal, a great organization, have been campaigning for them and continue to campaign. The Independent Office of Police Conduct has the power to get to the bottom of what happened here and why, says Emily Bolton in a recent article she's written. She's a lawyer for them. And, they've been sentenced to a total of 104 years imprisonment in 2011. And the evidence points to them being completely innocent. It is completely ridiculous that people like this are in jail for crimes that they likely did not commit. Of course, many people who are found guilty, like Lucy Letby, it's quite obvious that Lucy Letby was a wrong-un. And Lucy Letby deserves to burn in hell because what she did was appalling. But equally, the people that allowed Lucy Letby to get away with it, the hospital management, they should be punished for what they did because people went to them and said, stop this woman. They did nothing. But the likes of the Freshwater Five, Mark Alexander, Omar Benguit, Jeremy Bamber, and Luke Mitchell, they all should be given chance to have their cases reviewed. The Criminal Cases Review Commission do nothing to help them, but all of these true crime people, they go after other kind of stories. They go after very boring stories, in my view. So they regurgitate facts about the stupid craze. We are bored of hearing about the craze. And Jack the Ripper. How many times more do we need to go over the Jack the Ripper case? And the likes of stupid Patricia Cornwell, who buys a painting and destroys it, a beautiful Welter Sickert painting, so she thinks she can find the DNA. It's all utter nonsense. And this is all sensationalism. And it's totally wrong. Now, you say Jeremy Bamber went on holiday after the murders. Well, maybe he needed to get away and have a break after being, put under media scrutiny and the awful things that went on with him and his real family, and also, various things. Now, I'm not saying Jeremy Bamber is innocent or guilty. I'm not saying either way. But again, you are relying SSRI on the speculation of silly true crime programs and the dreadful Carol Ann Lee, who's this writer who wrote that stupid drama, White House Farm, which was a load of rubbish, utter junk. And I do think that there should be a review of the case of Jeremy Bamber. Whether you like him or not, his case involves the destruction of evidence, and I don't think it's correct. And you can look at all the questions on my website. They're all there, and I asked the questions. It's a similar thing with the McCann case. No, you are stating that he went on holiday. Fair enough. Yes, but that doesn't mean that he's guilty of something. Going on holiday does not make you guilty, SSRI. He went away because he probably wanted to get away from the media harassment. And meanwhile, the ex-girlfriend she went off to Canada, and she only got paid £25,000 on the basis of his conviction. Now that's pretty shocking to me. That's more of an important point. That's the real piece of rubbish. Shame on her. And I'd like to see her questioned properly about her payment was guaranteed on a result. You liked the White House Farm. Well, you might, but it was just a drama. And I think that Carol Ann Lee has an awful lot to answer for. Carol Ann Lee is not a quality person in my view, but some people like her book about the Pottery Cottage murders. I've heard many alternative views on that story also. So Carol Ann Lee is entitled to her view, but I don't take it as a fact personally. But there we go. Some people will believe her, but I choose not to. We all have differing views, or as the Queen would say of Meghan Markle, recollections may vary. There we go. But The trauma caused by a lot of these um, true crime podcasters is is disgusting. That they make up things. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't do proper fact checking, and they come out with rubbish. And as was pointed out on Radio 4 this morning, there are just 5 companies in the UK now who own the majority of the regional press. We don't have regional press in this country really anymore. The failure of local coverage has come about because only 5 companies own these papers, and basically they just regurgitate the same old rubbish because they don't have anybody working for them. There's no money in local media. This is a major problem. So really important stories get forgotten about very quickly. And instead, all these internet groupies and true crime people and crime.com and all of this, it's all about cold cases from 30 years ago that are, Dennis Nielsen and things like that, things that frankly, it's boring, it's the craze, it's terrible. What about the victims? We don't even mention the names of the victims in these things. It's always Dennis Nielsen. It's not Dennis Nielsen's victims. It's not um, it's not Stuart Lubbock. It's Michael Barrymore. And I urge you, please, all of you, continue to sign my petition on change.org about ITV and bringing on Michael Barrymore, because I think that they should be named and shamed for that. The Cray twins were brothers. Well, that's kind of obvious, Pebble Dasher, but thank you for sharing it. I really think we should talk about the victims. And whenever I talk about Barrymore, I talk about Stuart Lubbock, because Stuart Lubbock was the victim, and Stuart Lubbock is the person who should be remembered. He was the one who was murdered and raped in the swimming pool of Michael Barrymore, and Mr. Barrymore fled the scene. Yes, what about Anne Sakoulas and Harry Dunn? Yes, terrible. What about Harry Dunn? Let's remember Harry Dunn. Absolutely shocking. Poor old Harry Dunn did not need to die, and that woman ran away, and okay, things went on and little deals were done. Terrible. Absolutely appalling. Shocking. But I would like to say, true crime should be more thoughtful. That's what I will conclude with about true crime. And this growth of sensationalism needs to move away. You feel for the Bennett family, says Angela. Yes, you've sent me many messages. They cannot find the young brother, who they're still looking for him. And he is the one who should be remembered, not the nasty person that murdered him. Disgusting. It's terrible that the media always focus on the killer, and they always go after these serial killer stories, and it's Jeffrey Dahmer, or it's this one, or it's that one. Well, what about the little people who've suffered? The ordinary people who've been murdered by their husband or wife, or thrown down a well or something. It's so sad that they don't get remembered. I went when I was growing up. There was a boy who I knew, and I won't talk about who he is, but he was murdered, and um, they stole the watch off his body. A bin man. He was found in an alleyway, and he had been involved in things he shouldn't have been. and he had got a child, and the bin man stealing from his body was more of a story than his murder, because he stole a Rolex watch from his body, and that I thought that was just cheap. They should remember the person for who they were, and not simply talk about this bin man being sent to prison for stealing from a body. The killer has still to be apprehended, and that is utterly disgusting. But I won't go into that on this one occasion. Ben Needham's family. Well, Ben Needham's family need to find out what happened. We don't know what happened to Ben Needham. And his mother is a tireless campaigner, and I salute her very much. Kerry Needham is a wonderful lady who keeps trying. And also the Allen family, who's one of whom went missing in the 1970s. Martin Allen and his brother Kevin continues to campaign, and I'm in touch with Kevin quite often on Twitter mostly, and they never got any justice. They never got any help. The Metropolitan Police have been utterly useless. You want me to lighten up, Amanda says. Well, no, I wish to talk about serious matters, Amanda, and if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to that part of it. We are talking tonight about serious matters, and that's what I wish to talk about. So I'm very sorry, Amanda, if it's not for you, but you are entitled, Amanda, not to listen if you don't wish to. But I will not stop speaking out in support of the families that I support, particularly Mark Alexander, Omar Benguit, Kevin Allen, whose brother Martin disappeared, and many other people who deserve justice, the Needham family, and many others. I'm sorry, it is not fair to tell me that I should be lightening up. If you don't like what I talk about, I don't want to talk about, the grim and gritty true crime genre that is just sensationalist, soppy rubbish that you all want to watch about serial killers. I will talk about real people who've gone missing and support them. I really want to support people who actually haven't got support, and I like to support people who actually deserve it, who don't get support from elsewhere, which is why these people come to me, because and why I go to them, because they deserve support. So, Amanda, you are totally wrong. I don't agree with you. Yes, the kids that went missing around Dolphin Square, quite correct, Paulie. Yes, we're not allowed to talk about Dolphin Square, but a friend of mine's writing a book about Dolphin Square, and that will be very interesting when it's published. He has won awards for his journalism, and he worked at The Guardian and The Telegraph, and he's a hard-working, wonderful gentleman, and that is something that really needs to be exposed. The Elm Guest House, I know lots of people didn't like it, with lots of the things that went on about that, but I will continue to speak out, and I will continue to say what I wish to say, and nobody will silence me. And that is why I have this channel now, so I can talk about things that are totally relevant and support people who deserve justice. And the lady who criticized me, you are entitled to your view. I wish you all the best, and go and watch Netflix. Go and watch your Coronation Street or whatever you wish to do. But seriously, do not tell me to lighten up about when I'm talking about people who are victims. That is disgusting, and that is wrong, and that is what is wrong with this world. You people don't even have any sympathy or empathy with people who deserve kind support, and that is sickening to me. Absolutely shocking. Not impressed with that. Anyway, moving along, we can talk about something else. I I received the lovely books about Keith Floyd today from the lovely Paulie. Yes, 2 books. And they've got some great recipes in them. One of them is for trout in the newspaper, which I mentioned before. I shall be looking forward to cooking that. And I'll also be cooking the lemon potatoes. Good, simple recipes. And it's full of things about hangover cures. Absolutely great. Absolutely wonderful. And meanwhile, I've been out to a lovely dinner at the home of my friend Finn and his parents, the former judge, and they gave me a lovely book as well. So I'm going to recommend this as your read of the day, Mrs. Palfrey at the Claremont, by Elizabeth Taylor, which was the inspiration for Fawlty Towers. So it's about a hotel in Kensington, basically, and I think the eccentric characters could be based on some of the more bigoted, crazy people I know. Crazy old people who live in the world of bonkersness. I don't have any moderators, honesty and truth, because the moderator got banned, and so he's sorry to say. So there we go. I don't know who Stuntman is. No idea. I don't know what you're going on about in your chat here. But given, shall you sell your car? Well, if you live in the ULEZ zone, probably yes. A friend of mine wrote to me today about the ULEZ zone. This Sadiq Khan, he has gone too far by expanding this ULEZ zone. It's utterly ludicrous. Absolutely. Oh, it's Nav here. Well, I don't know. You should sell it. You should sell your car, Nav, because that Mercedes is a liability. Right. Whoever else said about selling the car, I don't know who you were, but yes, my friend has a Volvo, and he lives somewhere on the new ULEZ zone, and he said my car is basically an oversized paperweight now because every time I move it off my drive, it's 12.50, so I'm not going to be moving it. So he's turned his car into a paperweight, effectively. He won't be driving it anymore. So cars are a waste of money if you live in the ULEZ zone. So Mr. Sadiq Khan is ludicrous. And I believe that the Pimlico Plumbers boss, Mullins, Dave Mullins, I think his name is, very eccentric character. He did back Gina Miller and support the Brexit, but he got rather angry about the ULEZ zone and tweeted that he wanted to do something very bad to Sadiq Khan, and he's been banned from Twitter as a result. Charlie Mullins, yes, not Dave Mullins, but I don't know. I have met it. I've been in the same room as him, but I don't know him. But anyway, you're quite correct. I stand corrected, GB Patriot. Yes, he had the plumbing business, Pimlico Plumbers, the most overpriced plumbing business on the planet. But there we go. Yes, it's not surprising the cameras are being vandalized. The ULEZ is a joke, says Melissa. I totally agree. He looks like the pound shop Rod Stewart. Yes, he does have a very strange look. Yes. He's had more surgery than Katie Price, says GB Patriot. Passport to Pimlico. Well, that was a nice film, but he looks about, he's got Mr. Sunbed hairdo man. I think he's a very strange character. Do I agree with Andrew Bridgen? No, I certainly don't agree with Andrew Bridgen about anything. Andrew Bridgen is a piece of toe rag. Absolutely ghastly. I don't know why Screwed Politics has been banned. Annette is that's awful. I don't know what's awful about Annette, but you can't stand the Pimlico man. He doesn't seem very popular amongst many of you. He ordered Rod Stewart from. Well, Rod Stewart is someone whose music terrifies me. I'm not a fan of Rod Stewart because I used to work for an American billionaire, And when he got out of the plane at Heathrow in my Range Rover, I used to drive around, and for the whole week he was with me, he would insist on having a Rod Stewart CD playing back to back, and he would sing along. So Rod Stewart's noise to me is like banging on a drain. He is banging on the pipes. It's just vile. I can't stand hearing his noise anymore because I had to listen to this old man who's now dead singing, well, singing this vile nonsense. So, not a fan of Rod Stewart myself. You love Rod Stewart, Julie. Well, we all have to love different things. If we all love the same thing in life, Julie, the world would be boring. I don't think I can give you a chorus of Sailing. No, I don't think that would be wise because I would probably break your windows. I cannot sing for toffees, so please don't encourage me to sing because it wouldn't be good. And singing in the shower or whatever else, one always does it, I guess. But there you go. I do love music of all kinds. Everything from classic FM to the Wu-Tang Clan. So I'm into all sorts. There you go. Kent versus Sussex. Which do I prefer? Do you mean Kent versus Sussex as a place? I don't know. Kevin, I'm not sure of your question's meaning. Rod Stewart is absolute and an absolute prat. I think that's taking it a bit far. You love how my shirts match the chair. Well, they don't. On this occasion, they don't really match the chair. I do have one that is related to this chair, but I know some people don't like this chair, but I like sitting in this to do this program, so it's my right to sit wherever I wish. You like Kygo. I'm not sure who the Kygo. Oh. Is it okay to put vodka and tonic water? Well, many people do, Dave, like vodka and tonic water. Have I ever been fishing? Well, yes, Mom. It's a little bit of a family thing. So, yes, we do go rather fishing a lot. Yes. Well, me raving. There we go. Do I like golf? No, I'm not into golf. No. Well, Dave Richardson, Rod is a better person than Cilla Black, that is for sure. So I think definitely an improvement there. Ella Fitzgerald, a wonderful. Nat King Cole, fantastic. Yes. You like gin and Coca-Cola. That is not a combination that I would advocate, but each to their own. We all like different things, as I've said before. Doesn't matter. Each to their own. Happiness. I won't repeat your comment, Chris Peacock, but you did make me laugh. I've never met Kanye West, and I don't wish to, and I think he ought to keep his trousers on. What he did in Venice was utterly inappropriate. But I don't mind some of his tunes. He's not that bad. I've come across far worse. You love red wine. Oh, red wine. That's a great song, isn't it? You like Yorkshire tea? Well, of course, I drink Yorkshire tea. It has to be brewed precisely for 4 minutes. Nothing else, but a little bit of milk. Right, fantastic. There we go. Ken Dodd. Well, he was a bit amusing. Can't say he was my favourite, but I don't have favourite anything. But I love going to Venice, and I like going to Saint Tropez, and I like going to San Francisco, and I like going to Altenhara in Scotland. I like going to Norfolk. I like going to lots of places. Depends on my mood. It's like everything. One can go to many places. Absolutely. PG tips is not for me, but good for you, Expedaliosus. Uh, that's for good for you. Um, you're in Scotland. Do I like Joe Rogan? I don't. I've never listened to Joe Rogan. I've heard of him, but I don't know anything about him. Can't possibly comment. Um, yes, Mrs. Palfrey at the Claremont and Brief Encounter. Yes, Celia John. Brief Encounter is a wonderful film, filmed in Carnforth, Lancashire, at the railway station. Fantastic. Brief Encounter is a must-watch film. Oh, and Simon Coates, you love Betty's Cafe and Tea Room in Harrogate, Yorkshire. A wonderful place. I've been there on many occasions. It is a special place and the home of Yorkshire tea. So yes, we love this. Of course, it's a fantastic place. Norman Wisdom. I wasn't that into him. Brief Encounter has me you in tears. Well, I'm sorry that it makes you cry. I think you'd be better off watching if you. My other favourite films of that era, Whistle Down the Wind, which is a lovely film and about the lovely children who think that they're rescuing somebody who's Jesus, and it turns out he's a prisoner. But there we go. I think that's a great film. Richard Attenborough and also Kind Hearts and Coronets, which is superb, absolutely wonderful film. That's a favourite of that period. And a later film, which somebody sent me a picture of today, was the wonderful Kes, about the wonderful boy with the bird of prey, and that's a fantastic film. So there we go. Tea bags or tea leaves? Well, it depends on the occasion. You know, you could have either or. Right, well, we're getting through a fair thing. We're now up to nearly 56 minutes here, so I shall have to probably go quite soon because I think an hour is quite enough of me banging on, and I might be boring you to death. So I think it could be the time. You want me to unblock Fred Witherow? I didn't block anybody because I don't know how to block anybody. But Fred Witherow was very tedious. I hope he just bogs off because he was very tedious. So please don't start going on about silly people. I haven't watched Hobson's Choice. No, not that I know of. I may have done when I was a child, but you'd like me to bang on all night long? Oh dear, you must be mad if you. It's very kind of you, but Hobson's Choice is a good one. Oh. You've got bushfires calling out in this area. Well, I'm very sorry, Mary Partridge. I hope that you stay safe. And tomorrow morning we'll be returning to publishing. We haven't got on to Jill Dando. I'm going to save the Jill Dando story for another night because it's too much for one for this evening. We've only got 2 minutes left, and I don't think I can do it justice. It was on my agenda, but we've become rather infatuated with films. But I could do a quick quiz with you all, but somebody would have to take the notes because I'm just here by myself. You can say the word golly, yes. Melissa Neal, oh yes, you helped yesterday. So Melissa, let's do the quiz. Okay, this book was I acquired in a Tesco in Broadstairs. It was on the floor in a box, so it cost me nothing, and it seems to bring great pleasure to many people. So, right, we'll go to a random page, but Melissa is going to keep notes. So, Melissa, be ready, Melissa. And where are you, Nav? Let's be having you, Nav. Are you there? Nav? Let's see where Nav is. Is he going to join in and help? No, we've got Melissa. So I have to go with Melissa only. Melissa is ready, so she's going to keep notes. Right, have I got a page that we haven't had before? Let's just make sure. Right, let's just choose a random page. Right. Question number 1. Which English higher education institution is known by the initials UCL? Right. Is anyone going to answer? Well, it's not Cambridge. The winner is Pebble Dasher, University College London. So Pebble Dasher needs to be noted down. 1 point to Pebble Dasher. It was certainly not Cambridge. Question number 2. What form of mechanized transport was first introduced to New York in 1907? Question number 2. It was not a tram, no. It wasn't a car. It wasn't an automobile or a trolley or a cable car or a scooter. The winner is Isenkia Lascelles. The answer was taxi cab. So a point to Isenkia. So I hope we've got that noted down. Right. In religion, question number 3, the Prophet Muhammad, whose name means literally praised, was the first leader of which religion? The winner is Simon Coates with Islam. Simon Coates gets the point. Question number 4. Who sang the theme tune of the 1973 Bond film Live and Let Die? It wasn't grooming gangs or Islam. The winner is Pebble Dasher again. Pebble Dasher has now got another point. Paul McCartney. Right. In the human body, how many anvils are there in each ear? Isenkia wins with 1. Isenkia gets another point. Isenkia is very quick. Question number 6. In which decade did Holyhead County Secondary School become Britain's first comprehensive school? The first person to answer correctly was Tian Tarrant with 1940s. The actual answer was 1949, but they accept 1940s. Right. So, question number 7. In literature, who wrote Blot on the Landscape and Wilt? Sid Green wins with Tom Sharp. A point to Sid Green, a newbie in the winning stakes. In history, in which year did the Soviet Union cease to exist? The winner is Pennine Counties with 1991. And many of you seem to be complaining about the terms of the questions. Well, we're going by the rules of Anne Robinson's book. So if you don't like it, you're the weakest link. Goodbye to you. If you don't like it, that's not, I can't, I'm going by Anne Robinson's rules, not my own. I did find one question in here which I disputed when I did it with my neighbor. So I but I did not dispute her, and she got 17 points out of 20. So she's a little better than most of us. Anyway, the next question is, in which US city might you visit the UN headquarters and the Rockefeller Center? Pebble Dasher gets yet another point. Pebble Dasher is definitely in the lead. Isenkia was very close behind. New York is the answer. But many of you have got that, and you're all doing very well. You'd like to play Monopoly. Well, we can't really play Monopoly, Angela, this way, because I don't quite know how we'd film it. But there we go. Question number 10. We're halfway there. We're nearly over with this. Who sang The Power of Love on the soundtrack of the 1985 film Back to the Future? The winner is, oh gosh, right. Lots of you coming in fast. Nicola Moffat gets the surname. No, you don't spell it correctly, but you get the sentiment right. So if you said it, you would be correct. So we'll allow Nicola Moffat because she was the first, and she typed Huey Lewis and the News. So it wasn't Jennifer Rush, which many of you seem to be saying. In maths, is the denominator the number above or below the line in a fraction? The winner is TM divided TB, below. Oh, yes, you got a point yesterday. I remember you. Yes, below. Question 12. Which football striker who finished as top scorer in the Premiership in 1999-2000 was named as the Carling Player of the Year? It was not Shearer. It wasn't Beckham, and it wasn't Dando. It wasn't Lineker. It wasn't Pele. It wasn't Ryan Giggs. No. Who cares? It wasn't Michael Owen. No, none of you are getting this. You don't like this quiz, it's not fair. Oh, well, if you don't like it, you don't have to, but I don't understand why it's not fair, but no one has answered the question correctly. It wasn't George Best. I don't like it, I'm not winning. Oh, it wasn't Sheringham, it wasn't Ronaldo, it wasn't... It wasn't Mike Tyndall. Not one of you has answered this question correctly. I will ask the question once more. Which football striker who finished as top scorer in the Premiership in 1999-2000 was named as the Carling Player of the Year? It wasn't Prince Harry, that's for sure. It wasn't Ian Wright. It wasn't Kevin Keegan, but you're close. You're halfway there with one of the words. The winner is Isenkia with Kevin Phillips. So Izenkia gets yet another point. In which building in Paris, are Monet's water lily paintings, which he donated to the nation in the year of his death? You're all saying the same word, but you're all wrong. Not one of you has got it correct yet. No, 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 no. It wasn't in Burger King. Token Spirit gets it semi-right, but spells it the French way. The Orangery. So Token Spirit gets the point. Yes, the Orangery. There we go. So money for nothing, says Izenkia. Well, you didn't get the point, did you? So you miss out. But the point went elsewhere. Question number 14. John Philip Sousa wrote the tune later used as the theme music for which television circus? Pennine Counties makes the relevant word, but does not state the proper answer. The answer has to come from Nicola Moffat is the first to answer correctly. So Nicola gets the point. Monty Python's Flying Circus. We have to have the answers really in full for them to be correct, I think. So we have to be fair. Question 15. Which astronaut was 77 years old when he went up in a space shuttle in 1998? The winner is TM divided TB with John Glenn. And as you say, you remember Billy Smart, Token Spirit. Billy Smart was a very interesting gentleman, and I know of his son, Billy Smart Jr. Anyway, next question. In the animal kingdom, this is question 16. What color is a moorhen's beak? Pebble Dasher wins will accept red, but if you said red with a yellow tip, it would have also been acceptable. But it's red, so Pebble Dasher gets the point. Question 17. The airport called Capodichio serves which European city? No, no. The winner is SSRI with Naples. SSRI gets the point. In which Shakespeare play would you find the character of Malvolio? Izenkia gets the point with Twelfth Night. Question 19. Private Dancer was an album released by which pop singer in 1984? There was a lovely program on Radio 4 about her today. The winner is Tina Da Silva, appropriately, with Tina Turner. Well done, Tina Da Silva. You are a lovely lady who kindly sent some lovely gifts, and you've also share a name with the person you won the question on. And the final question: in which decade did Charles Strite first market his pop-up toaster? Decade. And if you get the correct year, it doesn't matter. The winner is Tea and Toast, rather appropriately, with the 1920s. Tea, Toast, and Tarot gets 1 point. So our lovely marker needs to now declare who is first, second, and third, please. If we could please do this. Is that possible? Has the marker gone or left the room? Right. Melissa says it's a tie between Pebble Dasher and Izenkia. Well, it wasn't intended to have a quiz this evening, but there we go. So we've had 1 hour and 16 minutes. Well, you've all done very well, so thank you to you all. You want to play another game? No, we can't play another game tonight. That's enough for one evening because we've got to save these quizzes. Otherwise, I'll have to find another quiz book. But we will find a sponsor for the quiz, and then you can. You want more quiz tomorrow? Well, I'm not sure if we'll have more quizzes tomorrow, but I think this quiz it was meant only for the silly season of August, and tomorrow I have to be a bit more serious, I think, don't I? Because it's September the 1st. So, but I thank you all very much for your lovely support. It's most kind of you. You want a game of cards? I'm not very good with cards. There we go. Anyway, thank you very much to Mel for helping with this quiz, because the moderating people have all disappeared because they've been banned or they're not available. So anyway, Scrabble. Well, I love Scrabble. I'm very good at Scrabble. You'd like a bedtime story? Oh dear, I don't know if you want me reading that. Could scare. Harry Giles, how do we send gifts? Please send gifts to the Magnet. We all love the Magnet. Please come and support the Magnet. It's a lovely pub in Albion Street, Broadstairs, Kent. I'm sure you can find its address online. And please send gin. The more gin, the better. I'd love more gin. It would be wonderful to receive more gin and more stories and lovely books like the fantastic books I received today from the lovely Paulie about the fantastic Keith Floyd. Could you hire the Magnet for a private session? Well, no, it's a community pub, but you can come and join the community and join in with it. We all would welcome you. It would be fantastic to have. You'd send some Somalian gin. Well, I'd love to try it. I've never had Somalian gin, but how do you wrap and post gin? You put it in a box. You put the bottle into a box and they put it in the post. It's quite easy. Jeanette Archer. I don't know who Jeanette Archer is. I like the Archers, but I don't know Jeanette. There we go. But yes, you can send gin to the Magnet, or even more quiz books. That's what you want to move to Broadstairs. It sounds lovely. Well, you'll be very welcome here. We all love you too. Yes. You'd like a night of quizzes? Well, you could even have a night of Graham Burns playing the piano, and he would sing 500 Miles to you. And he's a wonderful gentleman, and we love our local performers, and it's a wonderful community thing that people enjoy. So there we are. So yes, all 500 of us are going to live above the pub. Well, I think Nikki and Will, the owners, might be a little bit overcrowded if you all moved in. That could be a bit much, but uh, yes, Finn has cooked a lovely dinner tonight for us, for his family and myself. So I went to his home. That's why I was a little late. But you've got a magnet 500 miles. So yes, and we give a big shout out to the wonderful staff from the magnet who are Karen and Samantha and Steve and plenty of others who work there. Gail and the lovely Will and Nikki who run it. So, and George. So there you are. There's lots of lovely people who work at the magnet, and I love lots of other places in the local community. There's some wonderful restaurants. I love going to the Posilipo and the Little Sardinia and the Kebbles, which is particularly excellent, and the Wyatt and Jones and the Jetty. And I yesterday went to one I hadn't been to before, which was very, very good, called the Pickled Herring, which has a beautiful garden. So if you're visiting this town, there's lots of places to go. And the Tartar Frigate, run by the lovely Lemony, a lovely lady. There's lots of places for you to go. So please go and visit local towns and support your local town wherever you are, because there's nothing wrong in supporting local businesses. And we have a wonderful wine store here, the Bottleneck, which the gentleman who runs it, Mitch, also happens to own now the bar next door, the 39 Steps, which of course links to John Buchan. So all you true crime people could, well, it's a fictional crime story, but true crime people would enjoy that. So some of the questions here are quite odd. You support your local McDonald's. Well, good for you. Hope you enjoy it. Right. I'm going to do what I was requested. Right. The advice I received from one person today was anybody who was irritating, I should just block. I don't know how to do that, but one person just said something very silly, so I've now pressed hide, so I can't see what you say anymore, so you won't trouble me ever again. Silly person. Don't send me silly comments. It's not a big town, but it's a nice town. There we are. I don't know why these moderators were banned, but that's because of their own channels where they say their own things. I don't know why it should have been called the 39 Stairs, because the film is the book is the 39 Steps. So anyway, but that's fair enough if you like that. Well, it's so kind of you all to be so generous. You're going to send me a message in Twitter. Taken down by the Alex Belfield supporters. Well, Mr. Belfield is a very evil, horrible man who deservedly was jailed, and I hope he rots in jail. A nasty piece of toe rag. There we go. Well, I've been going for 1 hour and 23 minutes now. This is perhaps a little bit much of me. I shall say happiness galore to you all. I'm going to find the final words of Keith Floyd to finish tonight, I think. If I've got the right book, I've got to get the right book. He said, good health, good luck, God bless, goodbye, and best dishes with love. And I echo his words and I add, pip, pip, love to you all. Night, night, good gardening, and pip, pip,